I was always told by my parents that I could be whatever I wanted to be. Like when I said I wanted to be in the Olympics, there was no hesitation. They said, okay, no problem. This is just what it's gonna take to get there. It's gonna be hard, but you can do it. There's always a sacrifice that you have to make, and I've always been the one that's, chosen my career over, some of the other fun things that I could have been doing. There are very few kids my age that were willing to sacrifice the things that needed to be sacrificed in order to, go the extra mile to win. And I think that's like the definition of grit. It's not the most talented person or the smartest person. It's literally the person that is willing to continuously work day in and day out and sacrifice things that no one else is in order to get to the next level. When I would go to ski camps and everyone else would go party, I was getting ready for training the next day. When I was racing, same thing, especially as a young teenager, all the kids were always going out and doing stuff, and I never did. And I didn't have a lot of friends because of it, but I won. And that to me was far better. I've never been afraid. I think fear is also a level of tolerance. For example, when you start driving a car, you're afraid, but the more you drive, the faster you go, you feel more comfortable at that speed. It's very similar in skiing. I mean, you're going, 70, 80 miles an hour, and everything happens in a split second. So you're always constantly making adjustments. I mean, there's definitely been times where, I've fallen and I've gotten back up and I've still won. Sometimes I just saw red and I just, was like, fuck it, let's go, I never questioned the risk involved. I knew obviously if I crashed, the likelihood of me being injured is exceptionally high. But that's part of the game, and that's also what makes it really exciting. I thrive off of that stuff. I don't repel away from it. I lean into it, and that's, I think, what separated me from some of my other competitors. I do believe in mind over matter. I think that you can will yourself to do pretty much anything. But I'm also calculated about it. If there was an injury that I would have surgery, if something went wrong, I wouldn't do it. So if it was just about pain, that's no big deal. It's either 100 or nothing. Either my foot is fully on the gas pedal or it's not on there at all. And I just don't have an in-between. I'm very black and white. So yeah, if I would have been a little bit more cautious, could I have won races and maybe not gotten hurt as much? Probably, but that's not who I am. A couple people I know that have had similar injuries to me, and they just literally shut it down. They don't even try to keep going, and I get so frustrated because I'm like, you still have an opportunity to do something here, but you're not taking it. But that's my mentality. I can't put that on other people. That's just kind of how I approach everything. So if I say I can't do something, I literally cannot do it. There's absolutely no way. And that's just the point that I was at in my career, and I was just too broken down. There's literally no other option for me but to retire. And my coaches were trying to push me through it. I think they've never heard me say I can't do something. Those words have never come out of my mouth. So I think that they thought, oh, I just need a little bit of encouragement. And that's not what I needed. I needed someone to really understand what I was saying, but no one actually did. In the moment when I was trying to decide whether to continue or not, I knew my body was at a point where I couldn't keep going. But I wanted to go out on a high note. The race before my last race, I didn't finish, and I didn't want that to be my farewell. Again, I think I'm really lucky that I was actually able to say I'm doing one more race, and I was able to go out, not on top, but third place for me was a great way to finish. So I feel lucky in the fact that I got to do that. There's definitely nothing that can replace or will replace skiing, It definitely was soul crushing. Skiing was my life. I have an analogy that I've come up with that, skiing was my sun, and everything else in my life were all these planets orbiting around the sun. And then one day I woke up and the sun was gone. Literally everything revolved around skiing. skiing in one way or another, no matter if I was on the slopes or not. And so when I retired, it was like, where does everything fit in? There's an analogy that I was given that I think it was really interesting. I think that, you know, what I've learned in skiing that's translated into life is when an athlete sees a brick wall, we don't say, oh shit, I can't get through the wall. It's a brick wall. We're like, can I go over it? Can I go around it? Can I go under it? Can I break through it? You know, like we always find a way to get through it because we're always faced with different challenges. So I think that's what I take away into my life now is like, what brick walls am I up against and how do I get through them? But I kind of am learning as I go, and I feel like, you know, since retirement I've learned a lot because I've always been in this bubble, you know, the bubble of sports and skiing and just really sheltered in a lot of different ways. So I'm getting the hang of it. You know, first of all, I really was hoping that when I retired, my body would be a little bit kinder to me and it would be a little bit less painful, but, you know, I've since given up on that theory. It's not gone the way I expected. It pretty much hurts just as much as it did before. I've been like doing, you know, anything and everything adrenaline that I, you know, was worried about getting injured doing before, I'm doing now, mountain biking, road biking. I want to do kite surfing, that's kind of my next thing. I'm saving skydiving for last because I feel like once all of the other adrenaline activities go away, like that'll be the one that kind of, you know, gets me through. This past winter was the first time I've skied since I retired, and first time I skied with my sister since I was like 12. I really kind of relearned, you know, skiing outside of racing. We have like a good group of us that all go together, which is really, really fun. And then we occasionally get someone like Hugh Jackman who's like, you know, we're like helping him like learn how to ski, and he's actually really athletic and great. But like, yeah, we're gonna go at his pace, you know, as one does when skiing with Hugh Jackman. I've done a lot as far as, you know, my skiing career, but I have my foundation and I really wanna, you know, give back to kids and help them, you know, inspire them. I always look to my idols, you know, Peekaboo Street and, you know, Billie Jean King, and I wanted to be what Peekaboo was for me to the next generation and try to encourage and foster that. And there's so many people that tell kids they can't do something, and I really hate that because kids are so impressionable. I try to develop thick skin so that I can, you know, live my life the way I do and be happy. You know, if I had thin skin, I would be a miserable human because, you know, I do get a ton of criticism all the time. But at the end of the day, you know, I've kind of come to the conclusion that, you know, I am who I am. So, you know, if you want to criticize me, you can go ahead and do it, but I really just don't give a fuck. You know, when you go to bed at night and the lights shut off, do you really care about what someone else thinks? Me, when I go to bed and shut the lights, I'm really happy. So that's all that really matters.